What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of the Busy Life Podcast. My name is Julie, and I'm so happy that you are here today. I just realized there's a stink bug right next to me. Oh my God. Whew! Okay, he's gone now. We're going to leave that in because that's amazing. My favorite thing about recording podcast episodes is that they are not scripted, as you can tell. I've always wanted these to be so authentic and just to feel like you and I are going for a walk together, like we're hanging out, like we're going to get some Chipotle or Cava. Like I just want it to feel like you and I are besties and that I'm here to help you. And I don't ever want it to feel forced. I don't ever want it to feel like you think I'm lecturing you or you think that you're, at a doctor's appointment, because that's not who I am. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I'm not any kind of licensed professional other than I'm a teacher. And I'm also a personal trainer, women's health and fitness specialist, and a nutrition coach. So when it comes to those things, I can help you. But what I also am is your friend. And the biggest thing I want is just for you to be successful. So if you are new here, welcome. The purpose of the Busy Life Podcast is for me to provide any kind of insight that I can to make your life a little bit better. I have lived through a lot of stress and trauma in terms of being too busy. And that's kind of what leads to this topic, which is all about hustle culture. And for my current Busy Life Podcast fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the story, and you know that I put myself through a lot to really make sure that I was checking off a lot of boxes. And I learned the hard way that that doesn't mean you're going to be happy. So I really wanted to tackle the topic of hustle culture, but I also want to highlight that there's good things and bad things about it too. Everything in life comes with the good and the bad. Even ice cream. We all love ice cream, don't we? Or we love some kind of dessert, whatever your dessert of choice is, donuts, ice cream, cakes, cookies. It doesn't matter. Or if you're not a sweet person, you have your guilty pleasure. But we know that too much of your guilty pleasure can be a bad thing. And that's kind of what I think of when it comes to hustle culture. I think it's a good thing to be a hustler. It's a good thing to go after the things that matter to you and the things that you think are going to help you grow in life. But it does hit a point where you have to question, is this healthy? So we're going to tackle that today. And for those of you who don't know my story, I'm going to give you a little background. So I am currently 29. And I always think it's so cool that one day I could be listening to this episode at like 39, 49, 59. And it's like, whoa, we recorded this when we were only 29. But the point is, back in the day, and this was around COVID time, us teachers were in the classroom and we were doing the usual thing. Becoming a teacher used to be hard. It used to be wanted. It used to be something that people complained you didn't make enough money on, but it was like an honor. Then COVID happened and the world changed. Teachers were sent home. We were working from computers. We were barely engaging our students. And for me, my day was done at 2. And I felt like I had so much time on my hands. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. So I started to actually be a personal trainer. And I had already had my certification. So I said, you know what? Let's go do it. So I got a job at the gym. I absolutely loved it. And I switched over to another gym where I even grew so much more and I loved it 10 times more. But for some reason, that was still not enough. So I also was doing my master's. And then because life kept going, I got engaged. Now, this is not all happening in the exact same order, but still, I was a full-time teacher, a full-time personal trainer, a full-time master's student, and I was engaged. So I was full-time planning a wedding. All on top of just trying to be a good friend, trying to be there for people, trying to take care of myself, trying to take care of my mental health, because being a person is hard, let alone just being a woman is hard. So, not only was I dealing with all the things, but now my body was starting to show all of the stuff that I was going through because I was gaining weight, I was stressed, I was losing my friends. I mean, the list went on. Fast forward to now. I'm happily married. I am still a personal trainer. I have finished grad school and I'm still a teacher. And I now, the most important thing now, is I know how to prioritize the hustle life. I know when it's time to push and I know when it's time to rest. And hence the podcast was born. This podcast has been going for a little bit over a year. And what I really learned in this past year is that we have so much pressure put on us to keep going and to always be on the go. Something I said in the last episode, actually, that my sister in law, Gemma, said is that you have to remember that we are human beings, not human doings. And we live in a world that recognizes and honestly praises human doing. But we were meant to rest too. A lot of people think of the phrase, an object in motion stays in motion. And that's true too, but we also need to rest. We're not objects. We are people. We are humans. We have to rest. On the other hand, though, there is a little bit of lazy culture too. There's a little bit of, I'm not going to do it just because she's doing it. So it really all depends on how you look at it and what your intentions are. And I really wanted to tackle it even further with you guys because it was a lifestyle I lived that was an unhealthy way of living. And now I think I live in the hustle culture more for the pros rather than the cons. I've started being an affiliate for a women's health and supplement company. I am working on revamping my house, and I still feel like I have downtime. And it's a really nice balance that I wish Julie 3 or 4 years ago knew how to do. But it's okay because that Julie taught me how to get to this point in life. And now I'm going to teach you how to do it. So let's talk about first, what is hustle culture? God, it's like a tongue twister. Because I know I've said it now a couple times and I haven't exactly defined it. But according to the research, hustle culture is the idea that working harder and accomplishing more will provide a sense of purpose and worthiness. And if that doesn't make you so sad, then I don't know what else will. Hustle culture has become toxic when it impacts your sense of purpose and it leaves you feeling exhausted and reduces your productivity. Nearly 80% of employees report experiencing work related stress, and most are dealing with disengagement, a lack of motivation, and low energy. Research shows that hustle culture doesn't necessarily work with weekly productivity rates decreasing after 55 hours. Like, are you kidding me? We shouldn't be working 55 hours a week. But you know what? There's some of us who are. And that's when the stress comes in. And that's when we start all the stress and the anxiety and the depression. I mean, it's so sad because the standard work week is about 40 hours, correct? However, hustle culture is saying that you could be going up to 55 hours a week. And I get that. You probably have a couple hours that you can throw in. But the thing is, if you don't have those 55 hours, then this isn't right for you. But I also get the frustration because you might be thinking, you know what, Julie, I need the extra money. I'm a mom. I'm a single mom. I'm on my own. I'm a mom of two. I'm this, I'm that. Especially like I keep saying mom because Ryan and I would love to start a family soon. And I think to myself, like, am I going to be able to do all the things I'm doing now while having kids? And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. But what I don't like that I see in this definition is that hustle culture is the mentality that working intensively with few breaks or moments to disconnect is the best and only way to reach professional goals. And that is just wrong. So, this is kind of like the mindset that people believe. And I'll go to say that these are the cons. People who live in the toxic hustle culture world think that hustling means you have massive effort, and that's going to lead to big rewards and a lot of money and higher status, more power, and that the small successes are just not enough, honestly. Like, it's a little bit of motivation, but that's just it's not enough, instead of something that you should celebrate. And essentially everything is centered around competition. So whoever's working the hardest and the longest is going to be the most successful. And there's a lot of people that believe in this. Like, did you guys know that Elon Musk is a proponent of the grind culture? And he tweeted back in 2018 that nobody ever changed the world on 40 hours a week alone. So he was referring to the 100-hour weeks that Tesla employees worked during the production of the Model 3 sedan. Um, Excuse me? 100-hour weeks? No, thank you. That literally sounds like a heart attack that you are asking me to have. No, thank you. He says that you have to work hard every waking hour. And if someone else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year. I mean, yes, but is that really what you want? So I'm going to counter that. Picture your life right now, like whatever it is that you do, whatever your profession is, whether you just have one profession or you have like a side hustle or you're starting a side hustle or you work a couple different jobs. Maybe you're a full-time mom, maybe you're a stay-at-home parent. Wow. Just picture that. And picture 100 hours of that. What I think of is the first thing that comes to my mind is no break, no free time, no friends, no self-care either. Like, no time to even wash your face, no time to take a proper shower. Ladies, we're gonna be growing some long leg hair if we're working 100 hours a week. I'm also thinking no sleep. I'm thinking poor diet because you're on the go, so you probably don't have time to sit down and actually make a nice meal. You're probably running off of like grab and go food, and sometimes that can be healthy. Like, you can grab and go a protein bar, you can grab and go an apple, banana, like, you can prep snacks the night before. But I mean, a nice sit at home dinner where you're present with your family and you guys talk about your day, that's out the door because you're working 100 hours a week. I'm sorry. Your sleep is going to go to shit. Your mental health is going to start to deteriorate. I know Elon Musk is a very successful man, but this is just, I don't I don't know that I agree with that. So unfortunately, he does support the grind mentality and not the positive kind. And this is not a let's hate on Elon Musk, because he's very clearly a successful man. And I know some of you are thinking, well, if he says that's the way to do it and I want to be as rich and famous as he is and as successful as he is, I need to do it this way. And that's not necessarily true. So this article also says that hustle culture promotes hard work and reaching goals, which isn't a bad thing, but the mentality is the flawed part. And recent reports on worker stress and burnout prove it. The research shows that the cons are really outweighing the pros. And it's because of how you break it down. It's too stressful. There is so much mental fatigue and burnout and mental health breakdowns. I mean, the minute you hit 60 plus hours is when you've immediately increased your risk of a mental breakdown by 50%. I don't want to do that. I'm not trying to have a mental breakdown. And this is according to the Journal of Occupational Health, that it says that a study was published in the Journal of Occupational Health found that compared to a 40-hour work week, the risk of work-related burnout doubles as soon as you hit 60 hours. No, thank you. No, thank you. 96% of adults report engaging in some sort of leisure, sports, or activity every day of the week. But with hustle culture, there's less time for anything or any kind of events like this. Well, yeah. Yeah. You want to hear the worst part? The World Health Organization reported that working long hours, too long, okay? I'm not talking a little side hustle, guys. I'm talking like these Elon Musk levels. Has led to oh my God, I can't read it right now. Working long hours has led to 745,000 deaths from stroke and heart disease, a 29% increase just from 2000 to 2016. And these deaths are related to heart conditions that were results of working at least 55 hours a week. What? When you work 55 hours or more a week, you increase your risk of cardiovascular disease, stress, depression, anxiety, poor sleep quality, alcohol use, smoking, and all causes of mortality. I mean, oh my God. So let's pause, guys. Let's pause and think about this for a second because, like I said, I like to identify myself as somebody who hustles. Do I think I live in this kind of culture? No. But when you listen to this list, you might think that you might change your mind. These are some of the signs that you are part of the grind culture and not in the positive way. Number one, you're answering work emails and phone calls at any hour of the day. That's not healthy. I had to learn pretty quickly in my working career that there had to be a time and a place for phone calls and text messages. Especially now, like us teachers live in a world where anybody can just text you. Even as a personal trainer, my clients can text me all the time. And I tell them, I'm like, yeah, you can text me. But really, they shouldn't be. They should be texting you within your business hours because the minute they send you a text, you're going to look at your phone. Your phone's going to light up. You're going to see it and you're going to get distracted. I have to turn my phone off when I'm recording my podcast because I want to be present with you guys. And I feel like we just live in a world where the phones are so in our face. And I don't think there's going to be anything we can do about it. We've officially adapted, in my opinion, as a human culture that can't live without a phone. But we got to have boundaries with it. So if you are answering work emails and phone calls at any hour of the day, you are a part of the grind culture. This is the second one. If you feel like you're being punished or criticized, whether by yourself or by somebody else for taking time off, you're part of the grind culture. If you feel obligated to choose work over family, you are part of the grind culture. If you're losing your passion, your interest, and all the fun things outside of work, you are part of the grind culture. If you're working no matter what the cost is, constantly pushing yourself beyond your boundaries, becoming addicted to work, choosing work over sleep, pushing your friends and family away because of your work schedule, missing personal events and get togethers, or you think you just never have enough time, guess what? You are part of the toxic grind culture. I want to let that sink in because for some of you, you're probably thinking, damn, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to be like. And I understand. If you're feeling the energy depletion, if you're feeling the exhaustion, the anxiety, the depression, the negativity, it's okay. The first thing I want you to do is take a deep breath. I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to hear this and be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. You're not. You're not going to die. We're going to get you out of this. Because there are some cons that come with being a hard worker. I just don't want you to be this. I don't want you to be a part of the toxic hustle and grind. So the awesome thing is that we can fix this. And there's going to be some steps that you're going to need to take. There's going to be some ways you listen to this and rewire your brain into thinking that I can be a hard worker. and I can hustle and work hard in this life and get rewards and praises without breaking my boundaries. So the first one is you're going to get your priorities straight. What matters the most to you? Like, honestly, something I learned from Mel Robbins is she wanted us to write down in this practice we did. She wanted us to write down what our perfect day would look like. Like, what time are we waking up? What are we having for dinner? What are we doing after we wake up? What are we doing before we go to bed? Like, go through your entire day. And then the next day, do it. Or figure out what are you actually doing and how can you adjust it? Because if that day includes a lot of work, that's where you have a problem. If you want that day to have a lot of work, that's also where maybe you do have a problem. And I'm only laughing because you can get over this. We don't have to live this way, guys. We don't have to let technology, work, and all these things take over our brain. But I seriously want you to think about this. I want you to think about what would your perfect day look like? And I really hope it would include some time with your husband or your partner or your wife or your friends or your kids or your dogs. Oh my God. Honestly, I think about what it would be like if I just lived a life where I'm constantly on my phone and working and I don't get to hang out with Duke and Tucker, and it makes me very emotional. And they are my why. Them, Ryan, and my family. They are my why that I need these boundaries for. And that's what you're going to need to do next. You're going to need to think, who is important in my life? What is important in my life? And how can I prioritize them too? Because it's not just about work. I know we live in a world where, honestly, money is hard. Everything is expensive. It's almost like you feel like you need these jobs in order to make more money. And you feel like if you're not working two jobs, you can't afford the world because the world is so freaking expensive. I mean, groceries for me and Ryan are over $200. That's ridiculous. But we still have to find a way to take care of ourselves regardless of monetary status. If you can afford food, if you can afford a roof over your head, if you have people in your life who love you, you are rich. You are. We take a lot of those things for granted and think that we just need money, 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 money. And that's not the case. We need to be present. We need to think, okay, how can I work hard, but also be here? You are a human being, not a human doing. So I want you to think about that too. And then the third thing I really want you to think about is healthy time management. If you are working 55 hours a week, I'm not knocking it. I have mixed emotions on it. I've done it. I've done more than that, actually. And it's hard. I don't recommend it, but I understand. I understand there's a lot of us that have to. We have to provide for our family. We have to be able to put food on the table. We have to afford the rent. I get it. I really, really get it. So I want you to practice your time management. And this goes with setting the boundaries. I want you to think, okay, I am going to work X, Y, and Z, but when this time hits, I need to be uninterrupted. I'm going to turn my phone off. And I'm going to text the people I love that I'm turning my phone off. I'm going to watch a movie. And I'm going to watch the whole thing without my phone, without my laptop, without my iPad, with my family present. And those are some big promises to keep. Because if you don't normally do them, they are hard as hell. Have you watched a movie? Like, honestly, I want you to think about this. Have you watched a movie in a while where you haven't checked your phone? Because I'll be honest, I don't know. I was just watching the movie Christopher Robin with Ryan, who also works the hustle grind life and not the positive one. And if you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. He totally misses out on like the rest of his childhood, and his daughter is like, don't you ever want to like come and hang out with me and mom? And he's like, no, I have to work. And she's just constantly doing work to impress him. It's sad. Do you want that? Like, do you want that with your kids or with your friends and your family? Because that's how they see you. And then if you keep doing this, quite literally, you could kill yourself. And is that how you want to go? You want people to remember you as the person who constantly was working and never, ever, ever stopped? Never made it a point to just be with them? That's too hard. It's too hard and it's not healthy. So let's find ways that you can think about what boundaries are the most important to you and how you can stick with them. And I mean, when you think about it, a boundary is like a property line. This is where my house ends. This is where your house ends and starts. I can't build a fence on yours because it's not mine. And you can't build a fence on mine because it's not yours. It's the same thing with work. Work can't spill into movie time with your family because that's movie time with family. Just like you wouldn't let movie time with family go into work, you can't let work do that either. The best way to set healthy boundaries is to really think about what are your limits and communicating them with not only your family about how you do with work, but with your coworkers and with people around you. Not being afraid to say no and being consistent. I really think it's the best way that you can see any kind of growth. I mean, especially with the working hard life, I get it. I get it. Being consistent in the gym is how you see progress. Being consistent on social media is how you grow. Being consistent with this podcast is what's helped it become what it is today. I get it. But what is life if there is no balance? What are you enjoying? What are you making the money for if you're not even going anywhere and enjoying it? Again, I get it. Sometimes you have to. And I get that. Push through this phase of life and do your best to be present when you can. But don't live in it forever. There is more out there. So, let's pause. Let's let all of that sink in. And now let's talk about how can we be healthy hustlers, right? I like that term a lot better. How can we hustle, work hard, and make sure that we are moving up in the world and that we are reaching our goals? Because it does take work. I mean, you don't get to just have amazing things in life handed to you because you decided to take a break. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is you can work hard and you should work hard. If you want things in life, you do have to work for it, but you also need to have boundaries with it. So let's talk about how to be a healthy hustler now. The pros of being a hustler. Gosh, these words are like making it like a tongue twister for me. Okay. The best thing you can do is create a routine. Again, we talked about that perfect day. What do you want your day to look like? Honestly, for me, I prefer having a workout in my day, whether that means I go for a walk or I'm stretching or I'm at the gym. I just want to make sure I'm doing something every day where I move my body. I want to make sure that when I come home from work, I don't talk about work anymore. This to me doesn't even feel like work. Like I'm just chatting with you. But I set a boundary even with like my family. I'm like, hey, I would love to talk about these things, but I can't talk until X time or, things like that. I also want my day to consist of some time with my dogs. I always make sure I take my dogs on a nice walk when I come home because that's my bonding time with them and I play with them. And then at the end of the day, it's Ryan and I's time to kind of like, die down a little bit, relax, talk about our days, talk about stuff we did. And that's really what I want my day to be. And then I would say for my side hustle time, I block out about an hour-ish a day and really just go. And I'll check my phone every now and then, but then I catch myself and I turn it off. Sometimes something I saw somebody do is that they put a timer on their phone before they start digging. and scrolling and doom scrolling. And even if they're working, they set a timer. And when the timer goes off on the phone, she just drops it. I was like, damn, you really followed that. She was like, if I don't do it, I won't. Like, I will keep going. So you can try that. Stick to a routine that you like that includes both your professional and personal time. You're going to let go of the perfectionist life. Woo! We know that's hard. That is so hard. But you have to. Think more about just getting 1% better instead of being perfect. There is no such thing as perfect, so you're going to just be going in circles if you're thinking like that. Another thing I highly recommend is planning vacations. That's the best. You don't have to spend tons of money on it. I mean, Ryan and I are driving to a local beach for a week, and that sounds so fun to me because we're staying at our family's place. Like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We're not flying to Bora Bora. You don't have to do that. You can, if you have the time and the means and the money for that, have the best time ever. Please go get tan for me. But if a vacation for you means you stay at home and you watch movies and you do nothing for a whole weekend, I love that for you too. But plan it. Look forward to fun things that will take your mind off of it. And with that means you have to have a clear start and end time of your day, of your vacation, kind of your life. And it sounds very regimented, but it goes back to the routine thing. It goes back to boundaries. Because when you can envision time management and boundaries into your life and you make them happen, that's where the balance happens. That's where our mental health is better. That's where our stress levels go down. And that's what we want. We want to be known as hard workers, but not people who are constantly busy that they have no time for anything else. And the other thing you're going to do that I think is probably the most important is you're going to block out what everybody else says. I had a couple people in my life tell me, as I was a healing toxic hustle culture person, that I was so busy. And they're like, yeah, I just don't want to bother you because I know you're so busy. And I really didn't like that. I really didn't like that because it felt like a smack in the face. And I have a hard time describing it, but I really didn't like that. I didn't like being associated as somebody who's too busy for other people. It felt very snotty and it felt like they thought I was better than them or that they thought that I thought I was better than them. And I didn't like that. And I don't know if that was their intention or not, but I heard it a couple times from a couple different people. And you know what? I just had to let it go. Because then there was also people who told me, "Oh, you could totally do more." And you know what? That's just I'm not okay with that. There was a time I got called for something at work after work hours and somebody got mad at me because I wasn't available to talk. Sorry, it is after work hours. My kids had left. I left too. Nobody needed me. If you had something dire you needed to talk to me about, you can email it to me. You can text it to me. Hey, Julie, wanted to chat with you about something. Saw you had left for the day. Not a problem. It was after hours anyway. We can talk about it tomorrow. And don't feel bad. Don't feel bad for picking and choosing your boundaries that are going to make you happy and healthy and somebody else doesn't respect them. Fuck them. Don't feel bad. Same thing with the gym. Oh, I just wish you would hang out with me more, but you're always at the gym. Oh my God, she's always at the gym. And it doesn't have to be the gym, but that's what I've heard in my experience. Sorry, not sorry. That is my me time. That's my hour. That is uninterrupted. You cannot call me. Do not text me. I am at the gym. I'm listening to my music. The only thing I'm using my phone for is my workout. Be proud of your boundaries. Be proud of your goals. And know that as long as you have healthy boundaries and healthy rest time, those goals are yours to work on, girlfriend. And you got this in you. But it's hard. It's really hard when people don't respect your work-life balance and they make comments and judge and they're very judgmental. So you know what you're going to do is you're just going to ignore them. You really are. Let out your steam however you best do it, whether that is through therapy, walking, journaling, let it out. Talking about it with a friend, let it out because you are better than that. You're better than any ill intended comments. And there is a difference, of course, between comments of concern and comments of just trying to get a reaction out of you, but you'll know the difference. So I want you to take all of this in because this was a heavy episode. But honestly, it really felt like we needed to hear it. It really felt like we needed to dive into this because I know I've been there. I talked about that in this episode. I definitely have a fear sometimes of going back to it, but I know better now and I'm going to do better, like Maya Angelou says. And I want you to do the same. I want you to review, this episode with your friends, with a family member, with a therapist. I want you to create goals and then reevaluate them. I want you to learn from your mistakes. I don't expect you to take this and go for it and have this perfect life now planned out because I know that doesn't happen. It does not happen. But I do know that you can get 1% better. I forgot who created that, but I did not. So don't coin me for 1%. But you can do it. You can. You don't deserve to be stressed and burnt out. Nobody does. You deserve breaks. You deserve fun. You deserve to smile and to laugh and to have a great time. And you do deserve to pull out that inner hard worker and let her show off because that's important too. They both are. So find that balance, create the life you want to create, and don't be afraid of those boundaries. It's okay. They are necessary in life for both. It's necessary to have work boundaries, it's necessary to have personal life boundaries too. So, with that being said, I just want to say thank you so much, you guys, for listening. This truly, it just fills my heart up. I absolutely love getting to come on here and talk to you guys every week. I hope there is something you can take from this that's going to help you create and plan your future. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys next time. So, thank you so much for listening. Share the episode, and I love you so much.